Good afternoon. I'm David Forsyth, winemaker for Mercer Estates. We're out here in our Karma Vineyard, just out front of the tasting room here in Prosser. It's a beautiful September afternoon, and we're getting ready to pick grapes. So I wanted to give you a real quick study on what we're looking for in the vineyards this time of year when we're making our picking decisions. So this is Pinot Gris. First, you might be surprised by the color. There's a lot of color in Pinot Gris. It's a variant of Pinot Noir. So the berries are red, but they produce a white wine with a nice bronze color. And this is a young vineyard. This is its third year or first crop. It takes 3 years to get a crop out of these. And this time of year we're out looking at the vineyard to see how healthy it is, how the fruit looks. Obviously, this being a young vineyard has a very small canopy. You typically expect to see a much bigger canopy and get a little bit more shading of the fruit. And you can see here that we're even getting a little sunburn. That's because this fruit's got a little too exposed to the hot afternoon sun. And as this vine gets bigger and older, you'll see less and less of that going on. But it does retard the flavor development and the fruit development, so you don't want to see a whole lot of that. But as we're looking through the vineyard, we're constantly tasting the fruit, going from vine to vine to vine, and we'll be pulling samples. We'll take a whole cluster and throw it in a bag, and typically get about 30 or 40 clusters, and we'll take those back to the winery and we'll crush them up, where we'll taste them, we'll also look at the sugar, the acid, and the pH. While it's very important to be looking at the how healthy the vineyard is, typically this early on in the growing season, issues such as health of the canopy is not a problem. The canopies are still very healthy. Rot is not a problem. But as you go farther into the growing season, into October and late October, you may have the canopies may be starting to shut down, and you may have some rot starting to grow. But typically this time of year it's not a problem. But we do like to take those clusters back and like to crush them up, because when you're out here sampling in the vineyard, you're going to be pulling the grapes on the outside of that cluster. They tend to be the ripest, so you'll always be tasting the ripest fruit when you're out here in the vineyard. And you might say, hey, this vineyard's ready to pick. But as you get all those berries and you crush them up, you get those less ripe berries in there, and you get a much better mix as you pull samples off through the vineyard. The other thing we're looking for is the seeds. We like to take a look at the seeds. I don't know if you can see here, but these are starting to get a little brown there, which is good. And that one's still a little green right there, but that's a pretty good indicator to tell you that that fruit's getting ripe. Not as important in the white wines, but in the reds it's very, very important that those seeds start to harden up, because we are going to ferment the seeds and the juice and the skins together in the red wine. So if those seeds aren't browned up like that, we'll start to get a lot of green, coarse flavors out of them. This vineyard's coming right along. It's about 22 to 22 and a half bricks. It's a measure of sugar, about percentage. The acids are starting to drop, and the pH is right where we want it to get, and the flavors are excellent. So we'll be picking this vineyard next Wednesday.